All right, everybody. You're back. Thank you for coming back. Okay. Ex broke up with me. Said it was her fault for being a bad girlfriend. How should I look at myself now? I'm kind of lost. Okay. All right. So what I get from this is this person got broken up with by their girlfriend because the girlfriend was feeling like they were being a bad girlfriend. So I can imagine that in this situation, like if that happened to me, where like maybe my partner broke up with me because they were like, I'm just a bad partner to you. I'm just breaking up with you. That would leave me feeling very, very confused because I would be constantly wondering to myself, wait, whoa, okay, you're breaking up with me because there's a problem, but you're saying it's your problem. But why can't we fix it? Like the thoughts that would go through my head would be like, why can't we fix it? Like, why can't we work it out? Like, if you think you're a bad girlfriend, but I'm still with you, why do we need to like just end it, you know? And to that, I will say, if the line of communication is healthily open and she has not conveyed to you that she needs like distance or whatever, I think it's perfectly normal to ask the question like, is this breakup because of me? Like, is there something that I was doing that caused this? You know, I feel like that's a perfectly normal response to have if you need that clarity. But if it's to the point where she's not responding or it's just like one-sided, maybe give it some space and give it some time before opening that up again. But honestly, there's this Maya Angelou quote that goes into my mind very often where she basically says, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know it word by word, but she says, when people show you girl, run it back. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And it might be a case of that where this person, and I'm just projecting right now, I don't know this person, but they may be feeling very insecure about how they are as a partner. And maybe they know they are not able to show up for you or for themselves as a partner in that relationship. So they've decided to take themselves out of it. Maybe you believe them because they may be stepping out of that relationship for their own self-growth or because they recognize something that needs to be worked on alone, without a relationship, without something. And unfortunately, that is something that is necessary for you to respect. Because at the end of the day, if they're telling you it's not about you, it's about me, as cliche as that is, that's now something that's out of your control. Regardless of whether you approve of it or not, it is something and a decision that is outside of your control. You can still care about that person and also respect whenever they're asking you for space. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Goodnight, Girl. I'm Taylor Cassidy, and this is the podcast where I'm not gonna lie to you. The world is chaotic right now, but right here, we can just take a deep breath. I'm gonna answer y'all's advice, get mental health strategies and coping tips along the way so that we can continue going out through this life the best we can, okay? Now, before we start, let's all take a deep breath together. Ground ourselves a little bit. Breathe in and out. One more time, for real. Breathe in. And everything you've been holding on to, let that shit out. Man, we cannot control a lot. There's a lot that is outside of our control. But what we can control is our ability to exist in this moment. Be grateful that we get to see what happens next and choose and decide what our next step will be. Now, this week, y'all, the past month, January. This is going up in February. Happy Black History Month, y'all. But January, for the world, was chaotic. For my personal life, I also had a lot of growth. But this past week for me, I turned 22. Everybody say happy birthday in the comments. But I turned 22 on the 28th. And also on the same day, I announced my book that's coming out in October, but you can pre-order right now on Barnes & Noble. It's called Black History is Your History. I talk about Black figures and personal stories from my life, and the lessons that I learned from these figures through them. So please pre-order my book. I would appreciate it so much. Anyways, back to my week. Have been learning radical acceptance. And what I've been learning the most is, especially on the topic of politics and what's going on in our world, peace is not necessary in my body for me to accept. Do you know what I mean? Because there are moments where I just have anxiety. I just be having anxiety, y'all. Anxiety in my back, in my breath. And there was just a point where I was just sick of it. I was just like, okay, you know what? This anxiety in my body, I accept that it's existing right now. And I'm still going to feed myself good food while it's existing. I'm still going to hydrate myself while it's existing. And I'm still going to take care of myself as best as I can, even if this is existing. Because the thing that's going to make it worse is for me to constantly be fighting against it, criticizing it, yelling at it as to why it's there. And then I'm not taking care of myself. If it's going to exist, it's going to exist while my body's hydrated and while my belly is as full as I have the means that it can be. You know what I mean? So, yeah, right now I'm not as anxious as I was, thank God. And yeah, so this week I asked you guys to send me your questions about how to deal with rejection. Oof. So let's get into the first question. How do you handle your crush rejecting your accidental note confession to them? There's a lot going on in this question. Okay, so it sounds like somebody accidentally confessed to their crush that they liked them, and they unfortunately did not reciprocate those feelings. Let me tell you this. Let me get this across. You're looking at the queen of getting rejected by your crushes. And I don't say that in a way where I feel lonely about it. I say that in a way of I'm a bold person and I go for what I want. And because of that, like any endeavor in life, you're going to get a lot of no's. So I've actually had a similar experience like this where I did have a crush on somebody in my school, and my friends all shipped me with him, but I would always say, no, I don't have a crush on him. No, like I don't like him. Just because like they were all shipping me with him and I didn't want the attention. So I would say, no, I don't even have a crush on him. Like I don't. So like, even though I did like, I did think he was cute, I had absolutely no intention of shooting my shot. And I did not even want to shoot my shot. And this was in middle school, mind you. So while I was talking to my friend through text one time, we were in middle school. So we decided to play this very middle school game where whatever question that we asked each other, we had to reply yes through text. We had to say yes. So it would be stuff like, have you ever dressed up as a chicken and farted in public? Yes. Ha, oh my gosh. Just stuff like that, right? But then my friend asked me, do you like so-and-so? Do you have a crush on so-and-so? So me, I'm like, okay. Yes, and then I put like the crossed fingers emoji to be like, I'm lying. Y'all with me? It's very middle school, messy logic. She screenshotted that and sent it to so-and-so on Snapchat and reported back to me saying that he said, sorry, she's not my type. Girl, can you imagine like a 14-year-old? I had to be like 13 or 14. I'm like, when I tell this story, I'm always like, dang, I missed my shot and I didn't even want to shoot. Like, I missed my shot and I didn't even want to come to the basketball game. So I have also experienced this. It is embarrassing at first because obviously you're putting your heart out there. You're putting your heart out there and you're being vulnerable with your emotions about wanting to also be emotionally vulnerable with somebody else, and not having those feelings be reciprocated. It can be hard. It can be tough because it takes a lot of bravery to do that. And so sometimes whenever you get rejected, it might feel like your feelings for them were invalid, or that your bravery didn't really get you anywhere, or that it was invalid. And I feel like in society, it's seen as like, oh, like they didn't like you back. That's so sad. But I'll put it into this perspective, especially with crushes. Having a crush on somebody or being attracted to someone and having feelings for them is a wonderful thing because it's a really fun emotion. But you also have to put it in terms of this world is so huge, and sometimes that match is not going to be perfect, or even initially, like, those feelings are not going to be reciprocated by the other person. And that does not mean that you picked the wrong person. It doesn't mean your feelings are rooted in something deeper and that's why it didn't work out. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the person. It just simply means y'all are just not a good match. And it says nothing about your worth. It says nothing about how much growth you need to do. It says nothing about you being ready for a relationship. It's just not a match. It's kind of like whenever you see a dress on a mannequin and you're like, that is such a stunning dress. Like, that is such a beautiful dress. And then you go and try the dress on and you think it's in your size, but it just doesn't, you don't love it as much as you did when you put it on. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's the same thing with crushes. It's not that there was something wrong with the dress or that there's something wrong with your body. It's just not a match. And you can hang that dress back up and be like, thank you for the experience. Let's move on and find a dress that I do like. I feel like rejection is so much easier to handle when you realize that you do not possess and you do not have a right to another person's feelings. And whatever they say or do regarding your feelings has nothing to do with you and everything to do with their decision to do what's best for them. They also have a right to do what's best for them. And if that means not having you romantically in their life, then you have to respect that and be like, okay, you're doing what's best for you. So now I'm going to do what's best for me. Accept that, eat that L, and go find some other letters to send. Go find some other DMs to hop in. I really hope something in there helps a little bit. But I'm looking at these other questions. It looks like we're going to get into it more, so don't worry. How to let ourselves be disappointed for a bit instead of trying to fix the situation ASAP. This is a great question. My sister has talked to me about this like years ago, where she was talking to somebody about like something where she was really disappointed about the outcome, and they kind of didn't let her be disappointed. They just automatically started coming up with solutions where what she needed was just a place to express and a place to land and actually process what happened before just moving on immediately. And I know for me, when something disappointing happens or something happens where it's giving me anxiety or something goes wrong, I have a coping mechanism of cleaning. So I will literally clean my entire house instead of actually facing the disappointing and anxious feelings I'm feeling. So I know the feeling of feeling like you need to fix it immediately because you're trying to avoid the disappointment. And to that I'll say, you'll be able to think of an even better solution to the problem once you actually validate your own feelings. Because no matter what solution you try and figure out with that problem or with that disappointment, it will always be clouded by your body yelling at you to feel this emotion. Disappointment is just as valid an emotion as feeling accomplished. Like if you won an Oscar and immediately when you won the Oscar, you walked up there and said, thanks. So can you actually get back to my email thread about our next project? I just really feel like we need to get the ball rolling on this. Thanks for this, I guess. Let's go. And you just went right into the next work and didn't let yourself feel that accomplishment, feel that pride over how hard you worked over that thing. That's not going to make you happy. And it is the same thing with failure. And it is the same thing with rejection. It is just as valid an emotion to feel disappointment as it is to feel accomplishment. And the more you make yourself feel safe to feel that, the better you'll be able to navigate what went wrong, why you were so excited about this thing, why you poured so much into it, and what you can do better next time. And that takes time. And the way you can do that if you have the urge to just start immediately fixing the problem, put down whatever you're using to fix it. If that's scrolling through your phone, Googling like crazy, turn the phone off and put it in a drawer for 30 minutes. If that's staying on call with people and not giving yourself a moment of silence, once again, put down the phone. Give yourself a place to rest and actually say the thing that you're avoiding. I'll give you an example. Once again with romance, just because we're talking about rejection. I was dealing with somebody not texting me back after we had, gone on a few dates. And I thought we had a really strong connection. And I was going through the process of trying to, just like what that other person said, like think back, like, did I do something wrong? Like, what's going on? And I was a little bit getting into a mode of being really defensive about it and being really frustrated around it. But what was really underneath that was me being really hurt. And when it came to that time of me being like, okay, I actually got to acknowledge that that really hurt me. I remember in my journal, I just wrote down a simple sentence of, I thought he really liked me. And that simple sentence gave me such clarity of, oh my gosh, I've been running around being confused, so anxious because I've been wasting all of this energy trying to cover up and patch up a Band-Aid that I actually needed to let be in the air and get oxygen. You know what I mean? Sometimes there are wounds and there are cuts that need to be out in the open and get some air to breathe. You can't just keep on putting Band-Aids on it and expect it to heal completely. You got to let it air out a little bit. And saying something as simple as that really disappointed me. That really hurt me. This made me feel like I can't do it anymore. This made me feel this. Sometimes vocalizing that first will give you the clarity to decide what you can do next after that. But the step to fixing a problem, the step to getting help only comes when you acknowledge the pain. Would you reject me? That depends. What's in your wallet? What's your credit score? You gonna buy me those Swarovski crystals? Send them my way, because it was just my birthday. And that's my answer to that question. How to not crash out. For my not so internet savvy people in the room, crashing out means absolutely going ballistic, feeling like you're going insane. And usually this is associated with whenever you have feelings for a person. And in my therapy terms, you're a little bit anxiously attached. And and it's kind of like if they don't text you back, oh shoot, I forgot to text. Hold on, y'all. You know when you start talking about texting and then you forget you need to text somebody back? Yeah, that's what I was doing. In my experience, crashing out feels freaking terrible because you literally feel like another person. You feel like you transform into the Hulk and you're like, oh my gosh, like this person, they're like so great. And if I lose them, everything's gonna be terrible. Then I'm gonna have to deal with things. But let me ask you a question. Are you afraid of that person's rejection, or are you afraid of the words you'll say about yourself if it happens? It got real quiet in the room. Speak up. Speak up. But seriously, like, the rejection is not what's really hurting you. It's the words that you're saying about yourself if it happens. I know for me, whenever somebody would reject me, romantically, I would always feel really bad, not necessarily because of anything that they did or said, even if the rejection was really polite. It would always feel really uncomfortable and confusing because I would always have these subconscious thoughts that I wasn't able to actually like realize that they were subconscious until like last year, where I would literally say to myself things like, you picked the wrong one. You should have seen it coming. Now he has the best parts of you. Oof, child, like he ain't got nothing for me. But anyway, now you look desperate. You're so clingy. Like all of these thoughts were never coming from the other person, but they were always coming from me. And those were the thoughts that I was fearing, not the other person. And that's what would cause me to crash out per se, get really, really anxious over somebody leaving or somebody saying, I don't want to be this close to you anymore. It would be like any sign. I would like look for it. I would be like a radar for it. Oh, he didn't text me back. Oh, he didn't call me back. Oh, he didn't say this, that, and the third on my birthday. Oh, all of these different things. And it would be, I was constantly looking for signs that somebody didn't like me or that somebody was going to leave or they were going to reject me, and say it was because I was protecting myself and like, oh, you can't trust all these people out here and you got to be smarter than that. But what was actually happening was that I was too scared to actually believe that maybe everything's okay. And maybe if he does reject me, that's fine. That was unfathomable to me. It was unfathomable because I was already saying all of these things to myself, cementing that if this other person rejected me, abandoned me, whatever, it meant that I was inadequate in some way and that I needed to do better. But the reality is, no matter who you have feelings for, no matter who you like, no matter who you're dating, you have to remember you do not own that person. And you do not possess them. And even if they hurt you in the most crazy way, it is not your fault. And it is not your obligation or responsibility to believe that your poor judgment caused them to hurt you. I need you to sit with that. Even if somebody decides to ghost you, or even if they decide to cheat on you, or if they decide to pull away from you, it's one-sided, and not text you back, their actions, what they are deciding to do on their own, you do not have control nor possession of that. So what I'm telling you is take your paws off. Take your paws off. Because then whatever they decide to do has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with what they are thinking is best for them. Then it becomes your responsibility to accept that whatever person that you're involved with, you're there to experience them. You're not there to make sure they act right. And you're not there to make sure they're not playing you. You're there to experience them and whatever they decide to do. And if it comes a point where you need to leave or they decide to leave, you just say, thanks for the experience. That was a gift. Whether the gift was a lesson or whether the gift was you deciding you didn't want to be there. Literally what helped me the most is realizing whatever somebody else does is for the best of them and what they believe is the best for them. I had nothing to do with it. If I'm being kind and if I'm being the most empathetic I can, and if I'm showing up in the way that I would want somebody else to show up for me, if that person does not decide to do that or they're not doing it in the way I imagined, I don't have control over that person. I don't have authority over that person. And therefore, I don't have to take it personally. So when rejection comes, it's like, all right, that is a thing that happened. And it doesn't take away from my self-worth. I can be kinder to myself because of that. There's literally a thing on my wall that says, it's safe to be optimistic. Life is a gift. And it's specifically with relationships, friendships too, where I've trained myself to look at the best possible outcome of the situation. And even if it doesn't go my way, recite in my head, all right, that's okay. It didn't go my way. Life is a gift. Their presence and that experience was a gift. So I'm going to treat it as such. Girl, there are people hitting me up in these. Wow, there are people like shooting a shot. But listen, y'all, we're not on the basketball court, so rejection is redirection. But how do I combat the fear of moving forward after a rejection? Okay, I like what you said. Rejection is redirection, and that's true. Rejection is absolutely redirection because what's for you, you cannot miss. You can absolutely not miss. But it is so scary to face rejection and even face a lot of rejections all at once and get the courage and the bravery enough again to try again. And I'm continuing to use like romantic examples of this because with my career, I feel like I've been able to handle rejection a lot better, which is odd because like I feel like I haven't, like rejection to me when it comes to my job and my career, I don't really take as personally because I don't know. I don't really take it as personally anymore, but with romance, I have in the past taken that really personally, so I have more to say about it. So just a little explanation there. So there was a moment where I had this really big realization about myself, about the reason I took rejection so personally. And that reason actually broke my heart. Like, you know how you come to a realization about your past and all that therapy stuff? That was what was happening. And it really broke my heart about like my inner child and whatnot. And it made me really afraid to get back in the dating pool, because I was afraid that my reactions to things would cause a disappointment again, cause a rejection or whatever again. I was really scared. But I also realized that the only way to improve from your past mistakes, the only way to improve from old coping mechanisms or running into the same problem again, is to keep doing it. It's kind of like whenever, imagine you're a parent. Imagine you're a parent, right? And you pick your child up from school. They're in kindergarten. They're young. They're in kindergarten. And you ask them, did you make a friend today? Like, well, how was your day? Did you make a friend? How's your friend Kathy? You made friends with Kathy. How's Kathy? And the child says, Kathy left me to play with other friends today and said she didn't want to be my friend anymore. I'm never going to make a friend again. Oh, look, Kathy, where your mama at? But anyway, but like, would you tell that child, yeah, you're probably right. Like, to avoid pain, you should probably never try and make friends again. You don't say that, do you? So you'd push that child to try again. And even if they find it is really hard to make friends, maybe they're being bullied or something, you wouldn't want that child to give up on their dream of finding somebody who wants to be their friend just as much as they want to be somebody's friend. It is the same thing with you, girl, boy, sister, brother, friend. It is the same thing with you. When rejection comes, that is never a sign that you should give up. The only signs that you should give up should be if your self-love is leaving and you need to shift or take a break. But the fact that you're being rejected should never be a reason that you never try again. If it is something that you love, if it is something that you're passionate about and that you deeply desire. That rejection, for me, at least in business, like with my career in business, every single time I get rejected, I take it as a bet. I take it as okay, bet. Let me go somewhere else. Let me do this. Let me try this. Take each and every rejection as okay, well, let me try this instead. Okay, well, let me do this different instead. And treat it as a discovery, not as a sign of whether you should keep going or not. It's like that little chart, all those little charts on Pinterest where they're like, success doesn't look like a straight arrow. It looks like a really curvy squiggly arrow until you finally end up at the destination. And that's so true, because once you end up at the destination that you want to be at, it's going to feel so much better knowing all of the lessons and all of the good things that you learned because of that rejection and from that rejection. It is okay to feel disappointed, and it is okay to feel afraid to move forward, but take that fear as a sign that you should try again, that you should keep going and do it again. And eventually, you continuing to try, that fear will be less and less and less, because you will continuously know that even if you get rejected, you will be okay. All right, that was all of the questions. Thank you guys so much for all of the love and support on this podcast so far. This has been amazing. And thank you for sharing all of your stories. Like, I've been reading through your comments, and I've been reading through all of the testimonies and stories that you've been sharing with me, and they truly warm my heart. You guys don't even know, like, it makes me feel so happy to know that this is a safe space, that you feel that you can share even very intimate parts of your life with me. And I try to receive it with as much trust and empathy as I can. So just know I read your comments. I read everything. And thank you for all of your love and support. Thank you so much. It really means a lot to me to know that there's a community forming on here. That's my goal, forming a community first. So thank you. Once again, please pre-order my book, Black History is Your History. You can buy it on Barnes & Noble, and it's coming out in October. Happy Black History Month. Please follow me on my socials, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere at 𝓂𝓾𝓾. And that's it. And without further ado, good night, girl.